Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week we are going over a breakdown of my Mythic Forgeweaver kill on Arcane Mage, where I got US and EU rank 1 and World rank 12. This is going to be a pretty long video, so feel free to use the chapters to skip around. I'm going to start off with a breakdown of the actual kill video, where I go global by global, explaining what I did and showing all the mistakes I made, because there were plenty of mistakes. And then afterwards, I'm going to show the full prep video that I did on my live stream 2 weeks before I actually did the kill pull. And that goes into the detail of me comparing my previous logs to other top mages logs and understanding the timings and breaking down the strategy that I wanted to then implement. If you just want to see the kill video with no commentary or anything, that video is already on my channel. I'll link to that down in the description. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go over Forgeweaver. I did my timings. I actually messed up the timings, but I was able to recover. Had a lot of bad globals, but put it together and still got US and EU rank 1. So on pull, obviously not lusting, you lust in the damage amp. Nothing else going on here. Send the orb so I can get charges early. It'll be back up by the time the ads actually spawn if you need to use it there. And then we're going into delayed burn, but not evocating after. I don't really know why specifically. Most people are just doing this way. There seems to be inconsistency between people going Surge Evo versus Evo Surge when they're doing delayed touch. I don't know. I've found success doing it both ways, so it doesn't really matter that much to me. But going into your standard Evo Missiles Arcane Surge opener, I very specifically wanted to pay attention to positioning on this fight because it can help a lot to save globals if you position early and well, which is just generally a mage thing. So I recognize that this is the collector that is spawning. So what you're going to see is I blink over here to get away from it. I'm not blinking over here to dodge orbs. I'm blinking over here because if ads spawn and I'm one of the persons targeted, I'm going to have to be over here because we're doing the behind the void tear, which I think most people do now. It's what we've always done. So I know that like void tear is going to spawn under the boss and ads are going to need to be over here. So I'm positioning for that way more than for the dodges. Like these dodges don't really matter. It's not hard to do that. But I see that I don't get them. So now I'm just moving back, which I don't really have to do. Oh yes, actually I do have to do because I am in this next soak. So now I'm also preparing for the soak over here. I could have blinked because we have a time spiral, but I didn't need to. So I'm just making sure I'm blasting as much as I can. My Touch of the Magi is going to explode, do big damn, and I'm automatically near the top. Now I do also know, actually, I can't see exactly when this explodes and what the health of the mobs are because they're off screen, but it looks like there was plenty of time for that to explode before all the ads died. So that was good. Yeah. All right. So we're continuing. This is like one of my first bad globals of the fight. I believe I should have, going by the APL, this missiles is good. I use the intuition proc, which is fine. I should have now here, since I have another clear casting, casted an arcane blast to get you rid of the lay drinker into the missiles, into the GI, but I just send the GI. But it's not a huge deal, but it's just little improvements I'm trying to work on. That was a bad missiles because I don't have a GI or intuition coming up. So now I have to try and wait for a missiles and I don't get one. So I just have to send the GI with no missiles. I do get a missiles for this intuition. I kind of held the intuition so that I could try and get a missiles, and I do get it. And then what you're going to see here is I'm going to barrage for the intuition and barrage for the GI, which as far as I'm aware is correct in single target. In the APL at least listed, it does not prioritize lay drinker for anything in the APL really for single target. And if you don't have another clear casting, which I'm not going to get from this first barrage, you should barrage with the nether precision instead of arcane blast lay drinker with another precision. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm moving over here again, mostly to prepare for the next ad drops because now this collector and this collector is active. So void tear is either going to be back under the boss or over here. So I'm positioning in between both. Dodge is not really that important, but it also just helps to be able to dodge more if you're farther away from both of them. So then I'm just blasting. That was also a bad missiles here. So I would have wanted to wait for one more arcane blast before I missiles here. But it's going to end up being okay because I end up going into touch with it, so I do use a barrage on the nether precision anyway, so not a big deal. Would have been nice to get the GI into the barrage, but the timing is more important than anything here. So like delaying this touch one more global for the GI, probably not a good idea. This fight especially is like very tight on timings that you want to hit. You don't want to miss anything. So I do get the ad spawn here. So I go and do that. Explode there. No problems. I can probably delay that touch a little bit more. I'd have to double check the timings, but it's not a problem. Here again, those were good. Barrages, I use my orb here. Use that intuition proc, that's fine. But however, what I realize is that I believe I've messed up here, right? Yeah, so way back here, after my first big burn, you'll see that I didn't shifting power, and I have a note up here that says immediately after touch, shifting. Because what I'm supposed to do is do my mini burn and shifting immediately after so I can get timings like exactly right. We had 2 pulls on this because somebody messed up something on the first pull. The first pull, I did it correctly. This pull, I do not. So you'll see here, I touch, I'm supposed to shifting power, and I just don't do that. Maybe I got confused by the ice cold. I can remove that off my timers because, I mean, that just defensive doesn't really matter there. Nothing hurts anymore. That was an old school thing, so I can remove that. But I missed this shifting power. And I noticed that a little bit later. So we were back up here pretty much. So now I have the big burn, and I realize now that I didn't shifting power, and I'm like, oh shit. But I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be okay because I'm doing delayed touch here. If I wasn't doing delayed touch, I'd be screwed, right? But I am doing delayed touch here. And so I like briefly panicked here and also remembered when looking at the timings for previously that like this is exactly like 45 seconds or something like that. It's off by like 1.5 seconds. Not a huge deal. So without the shifting, I'll still be okay. So I just don't shifting. However, because I did panic, I do end up evocating before this and like just fucking up this sequence of stuff a bit for like no reason. But I was just like in panic mode. So like these next 3 globals are shitty. So I evocate here. I'm supposed to evocate after the surge. And then I don't go into surge because I realize that surge is still on CD because I didn't shifting. So I would have had it ready to press if I had. So I like panic and don't know what to do. So I just send an arcane blast instead of the missiles for some reason. And then I go into surge. I missiles dodge that. We're going to have the 3 void tears. So standing in the middle is fine. And then I'm into my actual damage. I realize that like my touch is going to line up okay. I sent it a little bit earlier on the previous one. So it ends up lining up just about right anyway, which is nice. And then I touch here. I can see I'm not targeted by these, so I'm waiting to see where the next pool is going to be, and I'm going into my soul window here. Our DKs always do a good job of gripping ads that people misplace, so that's good. And I'm just blasting, and you see touch the Magi explosion, hits, big boy damn, love that. I'm getting close to this, so I can just send 1 blink to get to the other side. It's not on me. I could leave immediately now, but I don't. I'm just kind of blasting here. I'm also trying to figure out, okay, when should I shifting power now? Because I don't remember what comes next because I missed my shifting power earlier. And I remember that timings are like really tight here. So I don't want to send anything on accident that I'm not supposed to do. These globals look fine. And then I see that I'm supposed to shifting power. So I'm like, okay, I can rip the shifting whenever then. And then I know that like the next pool is over here, so I'm blinking over to it just in case I get targeted. I get really close to this stuff, but end up being just fine. And then I do get targeted, so then 1 blink sends me over, which is perfect. This was a bad global, I think. I didn't get the nether position on the... Did I just rip? Oh, no, I touched the Magi. Okay, never mind. Then it was fine, because timing's more important than doing the correct like APL thing. So yeah, okay, this touch of the Magi is very specific, which is why like the timings are so tight. You have to do this touch of the Magi, I'm pretty sure. You have to do this touch of the Magi at 227 or earlier. If you do it at 228, the boss goes into intermission at 240 is when he casts his is when his knockback finishes, and I don't know exactly when he goes immune after that, but I did not want to chance having the touch explosion go off with the boss immune. So 227 is the hard stop of when you need to cast this, which is exactly when my thing is because my timings were super tight. But I do hit it here. So I go into it, bam, hit it, 227.3, that's fine. That was a bad missiles, but it's going to be okay. And you'll see like knockback coming, 1.7 seconds, 1.3 on the touch of the Magi. So just perfect. And these ads will still be here. I barrage, use orb. Beautiful. So all of that went like just about as good as I could have done it on the timings. Obviously, I messed up the timings, but I was able to recover just fine. But I also saw plenty of bad globals in there that I could improve on, mainly around like using clear casting missiles when I don't have a GI or intuition coming up, using a GI or intuition when I have an extra clear casting, but also have lay drinker. So I could have spent the lay drinker before I use the GI or intuition, stuff like that. So definitely improvements there, and I've been working on it, and we can look at Fractalus after this because I play it almost perfectly. I think that I messed up like 3 globals or something across the fight. So we can look at that after to see more what it looks like, because I had like 2 extra days of practice in from there. In intermission, you're not really doing anything. Since you're not sending any CDs with this lineup in intermission, you're just kind of hanging out. I could have sent like a barrage, an orb here because I'm on the back collector where most of the ads are stacked and shit. That would have done a little bit more damage, but not a big deal. And then towards the end of intermission here, you're going to see me like AFK a bit because I'm like looking around and trying to figure stuff out. You can see my timings coming up for like time warp and surge. The most important thing on this fight is that you need to surge before the collectors die. You surge into the collector, and it doesn't really matter if you're wasting damage during the surge. Preferably you don't want to, so you would like target the echo, or like in the transition between hitting the collectors and hitting the boss, you try to get to the boss as soon as possible. You're going to see me waste a lot of globals here, because in the actual kill video and the comms, our raid leader is reminding us that we didn't actually assign groups this time around. We were just like, fuck it, just YOLO it for who's on what collector. So we're being like really careful about collector health. So you see me just like walking around here, like trying to figure out which collector's the high one, because we also didn't mark them or anything. But then I figure like, okay, we're fine enough. This thing is below 10%. I need to surge. So I basically hit my surge timing almost exactly. And then we start killing collectors, and I should have evocated earlier, but I don't. I'm just trying to make sure I get on boss as soon as possible, make sure I'm ready to go. Lust, then I'll hit my evocate. I should have potted earlier, but I don't. Again, plenty of mistakes, yet still ended up rank 12 in the world. So there's plenty of improvement to be had. And then the most important thing is making sure your touch goes off before the weekend thing starts, because the damage amp is exactly 12 seconds long. This weak aura was wrong for me the week before, so I was not trusting it at all. I was trusting my timing, and I was staring at this to make sure. I actually hit my touch of the Magi at the exact moment the damage amp starts, which is way too risky. I should have done it like half a second earlier or something. I should have skipped the global, maybe 1 second earlier. But I ended up doing it anyway. So what we'll see is that like this here global is when I cast it, but it takes a little bit for Touch of the Magi to actually get onto the boss, because the macro, I think, is like, I don't even know. What does the macro do? It fires a barrage and then it touches, but I feel like there's like a delay there. Cast sequence, arcane barrage, touch the Magi, touch the Magi. I don't know if there's a delay there, but it certainly seems like there is. So I've like hit it now. I've already hit the barrage. I already have the charges back for Touch the Magi, but the debuff isn't on the boss. Now the debuff's on the boss at the exact moment the weekend thing starts. But is what it is. It's fine. Use it earlier rather than later. Use it with like 1 second left before the damage amp starts would probably be the safest bet. And then you'll see I'm going into soul in 3 seconds. So I'll have like 9 seconds of soul into this Touch of the Magi, into the damage amp. And that ends up being like flawlessly perfect just by the luck of the draw of the damage that we did this time. because the boss is going to hit execute like the moment I get into soul almost. So 38%, but by like the time I send like my second global, that was 1, and he's at 35.4. So now the boss is in execute. So all of these barrages after this are doing double damage, and this helps a lot. So you just watch the damage meter go, and then the explosion hits, and it brings me up another million. And what you'll also see is I've been having an issue with this soul weak aura of messing up the last global and casting it after soul ends. What I have finally realized is to just not trust this barrage helper weak aura at all. The GCDs get like really desynced, especially when you have like super high haste. These GCDs just aren't accurate enough for me to like tell if my next GCD is going to be in soul or not. So when you get down to like really low counts while I'm like blasting and stuff, and there's a little bit of input lag, I'm like, okay, I have one more GCD because this turned to 0.4 during my like in between my last two GCDs. So I just fired my barrage and I'm like, okay, so I should have like one more GCD, but this was actually my last GCD. So I just messed that up. So what I've learned from now is that for the most part, I just watch the timer, and I just kind of get a feel for like how fast my GCDs are going. Obviously here I'm GCD capped. I'm at 0.75 or whatever it is, the lowest GCD. But I've just been doing that now. I just pay attention to my timer on soul more than anything else. But yeah, you can see I shoot up a mil. I think my Touch of the Magi exploded for like 200 million or something. I shoot up a mil DPS from that. And then I like just royally start fucking up my rotation at the end because like I'm just so focused on trying to not fuck anything up that I end up fucking everything up. I think for some reason I still, after this arcane blast, I was trying to get another charge before I hit the intuition. What that ends up doing is the intuition falls off and then I barrage and then I have no charges and I just sent my orb, so I have nothing to get back. So I just send some empty barrages here because I know I have a GI coming up. I do that. Terrible rotation wise, but you know, it is what it is. I'm just preparing for the knockback here. Honestly, what I've learned is I should just be closer. The knockback takes you super far. I could just be closer so that I'm always in range and then like blink again at the end or something. We have plenty of evokers for like time spirals and stuff in last phase to keep me casting. But yeah, then I Touch of the Magi on CD because this boss is going to die super fast and I want it to explode before it does. And it does. Boom, right there. Add damage doesn't matter here, but getting as many barrages in as possible is still good because barrage is going to get the funnel damage onto the boss. So that ends up beefing you up a bit. And then it's just get as many casts off as possible before the boss dies. Yeah. Boss dead. Ends at 10.33 there. The actual number after getting rid of the cleave in last phase and the cleave in intermission, because they don't count that either. The actual number was 9.4. So you can look at that here. So I had about a mil of like extra damage that didn't count. But you can see like my damage profile massive at the end. I executed this burn basically flawlessly. If we want to look like enemies, boss, Forgeweaver, debuffs or buffs. It's this one. Like when does he have this to when does it fall off? There to there. Get a little closer on that end. Okay. So damage done, friendlies. 53 mil DPS. Whoa. No. Bring that back. 53 million DPS. Beat the rogue. And this is again because like boss was in execute this entire time. So yeah. 300 million in arcane barrage and 200 million in Touch the Magi. I did not like crit impressively at all this pull either. I didn't crit poorly. I think this is just like average to my crits. So that was really nice to look at and see. It's like, oh, I didn't crit barrages like insanely or anything. I crit arcane blast, but like those didn't even really matter here. So yeah, that was good to see that like I just had normal crits. I didn't just like crit super lucky and that's why I parse die. But yeah, and overall crit percentage, like these are average 21%, 23%, 22%. Arcane blast is a little bit high. I think 21% is usually my average. But nothing like too important there. Obviously the massive damage from the damage amp explosion there. I don't know how many targets that my touch the magi hit. So like there wasn't even ads to hit with my touch the magi, which would be expected because the ads would be long dead before here. So yeah, I didn't get like super lucky on anything. Looking at like just P1 damage, I did 8 mil, which like wasn't that more than the last week. But I also had like plenty of messed up globals. I completely like kind of scuffed my second burn, this one, by like not shifting powering after the surge. So I missed all that damage into like the soul touch of the magi. So I think this one could have been a lot higher, and I could have been towards like 8.5, maybe even 9 in this P1. I think last week I was at like 7.7 in P1. So it was definitely an increase from last week. The timings were definitely better. I definitely like getting this touch of the magi explosion at the end there. That was good. But obviously I just need to not fuck up this burn. Yeah. And then during last phase, just like it doesn't really matter. I mean, even that touch of the magi hitting those ads like did no damage. It was way more about arcane barrages, and I did crit a lot on arcane barrage in the last phase, which is definitely nice. Because it's in execute, and I don't know if none of those actually got cleave on the ads. So I did not arcane barrage at all while the ads were up. Oh wait, that's unfiltered. Okay, I did. There you go. Okay, so good. We did get arcane barrage. I forgot that the filtering would have taken away the hits there too. So yeah, and that was the pull. So definitely a lot of improvements that I could make. Plenty of messed up globals that I've been practicing on. Let us go to the next boss, Forgeweaver. So I died just like a complete idiot here. But before this point, I was slapping 8.6 at 403. However, this time we were like so much slower in intermission that I was a million damage behind. And if you go to like stage 1 though, and actually just look here, okay, I was at 7.8, and this time, last time when I did more damage, I was at 7.5, right? So I was doing everything right in P1 compared to what I was doing the week before, where I was doing a million more damage. It's just like intermission took for freaking ever. And then actually, like if you look at boss damage, so starting here, and then like whenever the burn ends or whatever, I'm pretty sure I did more this time around than last time. How long is this over? 319 to 355. Let's shorten that sum. So 326 is when it ends at 355. That's about 30 seconds. Sounds good. So somewhere here, 343 to 413-ish. Something like that. So 16.03. Oh, no, I did way more damage this time around. Oh, I know what happened here. Okay, yeah. So there was a big issue here that I actually got real mad about with my weak aura. Is the weak aura for the time of the damage amp was wrong. It was off by 0.6 seconds. So this time around, I touched the Magite at the perfect moment to get like full touch of the Magi value in the damage amp. However, the weak aura was wrong, so I actually didn't. And my touch of the Magi exploded outside of the damage amp, which lost massive value. Like touch of the Magi explosion, 37 mil here. Touch of the Magi explosion, 106 mil. Just huge difference. So that is entirely the difference here in like the damage we did. Like if I look at this breakdown, Arcane Barrage 182, Arcane Blast 110, Arcane Barrage 170, Arcane Blast 99. So maybe there are some differences there as well. Arcane Missiles 47, Arcane Missile 62. So I got more cast off here. I don't know like if the timeline exactly lines up to what is happening, right? But like the touch of the Magi being triple is just so incredibly important. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. So that's like number one. But other than that, like I was doing good damage this week as well, and I didn't die like an idiot. However, we spent forever in intermission because of having the pugs. So that's not going to happen again. So it'll line up better. However, I do need to look at like, what is the kill time realistically going to be? I think it's going to be even faster than this. I think it's going to be faster than 445. And again, that's going to affect heavily like when I use my CDs. I think my CD plan for this fight is good for when I'm using my CDs. I don't think I can eke out any more damage by switching up my CDs on this fight because of our kill time. So the most important thing is that we do not get time in execute for me to get CDs in execute. So this was last week or the week before where I died like a dummy, I'm pretty sure, right? No. When was this from? October 27th. When was this one? October 28th. So heroic? Oh, that's normal. Okay. Blamp. So it's this one. So this was like our first re-clear back on this boss. So I was freaking like crushing P1. Like everything was going good here. Doing all my damage. Everything was great. Slapping, 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 slapping. Get through the damage amp. I'm just demolishing the boss, right? And then I do the stupidest thing in the world. And I literally, like the last orb possible, I just take it to the face without pressing any defensive or anything. And then I blink after, and then I die. And I was so mad, but that's life. But at this point, I'm doing like 9.1 mil, mainly because we got out of intermission so fast. But the important part about this is that the damage amp is ended. We aren't even really playing this phase because the boss is already sub 15%. So the boss is just going to push into the last phase immediately. And you can see where my CDs are right now. So it's important to note that like this boss is going to die. Again, really poor timing for me. I'm not going to get another CD set here if I CD the burn. However, what you'll also see is that I may not even get CD damage with funnel here. These ads spawn with the boss at 6.2%. So I don't really think there's a possibility for me to get a lot of funnel here. We can check the timing of when the boss dies. So 429.7. So maybe there is. So this is the choice I'm going to have to make. 429 to 445. I think the boss is going to die faster than this. I don't know how much that's going to change our time in last phase. And the reason this is important is because it will change your CD strategy across the entire fight. So currently I'm just delaying CDs and basically holding them for a long time in P1. I'm using them on like first ad set, and then I hold them later. So I use them on another ad set. So I get big damage on the cleave onto the ads, but I do lose a use over the fight. The only way to gain a use would be for me to CD in intermission, not have it up for the burn, and then get another CD here during execute. And the idea that doing that would be beneficial is that you get the funnel into the boss from the ads. Now, it's important to note that damage to these ads in the last phase is no longer counted on logs. So I don't know if it's more valuable to get the funnel onto boss here versus getting the potentially better CD timings in P1 and the CDs on the boss during the lust burn. And I don't think it is. I think it's better to do the other, but we will look at what other people have done. Right, so I said 445 is when we killed, so anywhere between 420 and 445. And there's one. There's, oh wait, there's none. Okay, great. Oh, wrong boss. Here we go. Okay, there's a couple. Good. I was going to say, there's nobody for me to look at. There's a couple. So this is good. Let's switch over to the boss here. Again, like you would check talents, but I've already checked talents a bunch of times. I know what they're at. We're going to just swap to look at duration. I think the boss is going to die around 430-ish. So whatever this person's name is would be a good one. Whoa, my mouse just lagged out. That was fun. So we're going to look at this log. Those are Soulbinder logs. So what was this guy's damage? 9.232. When did this fight happen? October 30th. Oh, literally today. Awesome. Fresh. 9.232. So that's this guy. Dude, what is happening to my mouse right now? So weird. So he has a 431 kill time. So let's split it to 430. Just so we can separate out his log from all the others. 432. 431. Perfect. So these are his CD timings. So he is not doing delayed touch in phase 1 there. He's doing it there. I wonder why he does it one time but not the other time. When are they lusting? They do lust during the burn. That's good. Okay. And then he does the mini burn in intermission, I assume. And then he does full burn and then boss end. So this is the same strategy that I was planning to use. So it makes sense. So he did 9.2 overall. So we can look at his damage in P1, see how much he did. So I did 7.8-ish. He did 8.3. So he got significantly more damage than me in P1. So it's definitely good to see if he did anything different there. And then during the burn, so I did like 20 mil the time where I actually got my crit in. And he did 24. So definitely good to also look at that and see if he did anything there. All right, cool. Let's pull him into, this was our latest kill, right? It's going to be so weird. Let's actually just pull him into the previous kill, this one. Because I didn't change anything. I just didn't die. Where's he at? There's he at. Huh. Just close out about those. Why is their log not showing up? Okay. Make sure that I copied this in correctly. Close that. Compare. Why is there stuff not pulling in anything? Can I pull it into this log? I've never had this happen before. No. That's super weird. I wonder why this is happening. Oh, because it's filtered on the boss and they have a technically different boss ID. Gotcha. Well, I can do it on both. That's fine. Okay, so P1 dam. I did a good P1 this time. But let's see the differences, right? So he had a much bigger explosion there. Mine is later, but then he gets another explosion here. So he might have done different CD timings than me to get that other explosion. So we can pull up my Forgeweaver Raz timings, right? So I have this one here, and then this one I use at 211. And then I do not get another one here. So maybe he's getting this one in P1. Let's look. So this is my 211 explosion. He's obviously using his earlier, and he's getting another one. Wait, is he getting externals? He's not. Okay, good. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is good to look at to see When is he shifting powering? Because this fight has weird shifting power times from what I have. Cool. Let's get into this then. So timelines. He evocates and souls later than I do, and then touches way earlier. So I wonder if this is in order to get his other thing off. So damage done on pull. How is he doing more damage than I am? His explosion comes earlier, but he does more damage than me. His touch of the Magi does 19, mine does 45. He just does way more damage in his other abilities. He crit 10% more than me on that. Okay, so maybe not there. Maybe that's just luck. Blasts, I get off more blasts than him for less damage because again he crit 30% and I crit 17. This is the variance of Arcane Mage. And missiles, we hit about the same and his did 5 million more damage than mine. Potentially due to Aether Attunement because he gets more hits in one less cast. Okay. So I got crit diffed hard. There is basically what that looks like. He got off one more barrage than I did. I got off one arcane blast that could just be procs and stuff. His barrage hits actually less than mine in one more cast, and yet they crit 10% more for a fuckload more damage. You hate to see that, but okay. So I'm really curious as to the timings of his touches. So the timing of his touch of the Magi versus mine. He gets his second one off significantly sooner at 48 compared to mine at 112. And then his next one is at 155, which he basically could have done even if he did the one at mine. So I wonder which one did more damage, mine or his. Because I think the strategy that I did on pull is pretty good. And I wonder if there's like an earlier time that I can use this touch to be able to do his CD timing here. Because that's the trick, right? That's where he's getting a ton of damage and then he gets it again. And this is all in P1. So he gets this second use here on another ad set, which is really valuable. So how can we check this? We'll look at the VOD. He's getting this exploding at 50. Mine's gonna, dude, my mouse is just freaking out on me. Mine is going to explode at 124. So his is going to explode at 50. Mine's going to explode at 124. Let's go to the more recent Forgeweaver. This one. What is happening at 50? Oh no, his is exploding at 1 minute, right? This does nothing, right? 48 seconds, it does nothing. Explodes at 60. Nothing happening right now. Okay, so that touch is useless. My touch is the first touch that you could do and get it to explode on ads. But can I do it sooner than this? I would just need it 2 seconds sooner. Maybe not. I certainly can. But do I have it available is the next question. Yes. So I can use it on CD here without issue and get it up at 155. Also, I haven't shifting powered. Oh my god, yeah, I haven't shifting powered. This doesn't matter at all. I can just shifting power after. Well, I don't know if it doesn't matter at all, right? Because I need to check the other timings. But so far, it looks like I can I mean, I can even do this without shifting powering, or I can shifting power and still do it. Because you're going to be holding those next CDs anyway. So this, I can hit this explosion on the ads and still hit this timing at 155. So when is he shifting power? He's shifting power is right before using that. Then he doesn't shifting power again until there. 217. So I could shifting power after this and still do that. Oh yeah, that's fine. So Forgeweaver, keep first burn, first mini burn to 2 seconds earlier, exactly on CD, and shifting power before or after doesn't really matter, but want TOTM up for 155 so I can get a second mini burn in P1. And that's what I'm looking at here. So this one would explode at 240. That's the other thing I want to check. Well, a couple things I want to check, right? So this one explodes at 207. So let's look. 207, right, is going to be this ad set before I've even started mine. And like I have full CDs just chilling here, right? Because I shifting power after that, I could even do his exact timing. I just, for some reason, don't have my stuff set up to do that. Which is an interesting choice. You're going to see me fuck this up. But 207 explodes on the first ads. That's fine. You could even push that 1 second to explode at 208. Maybe. And then the other one explodes at 240. So it's the other one that you have to like full shifting power to get, because this is 55. This is exactly 33 seconds. So what happens at 240? Is it like if you don't use it at exactly that moment, you miss this ad set? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So you don't want to try and milk that one anymore because you need to use it immediately on CD. 228 on last ads before intermission. Because the knockback happens basically at 240, right? Yeah. Okay, so the explosion at 207, how safe is that? Ads get pulled into there at 204-ish, 205-ish, so that's fine. 207, you're exploding there. Yeah, so you could even go like 1 second sooner. And even go 1 second sooner at 154 TOTM to give more breathing room for last one in P1. Okay, so that's good to know. So if I CD on this earlier set, I get another mini burn in P1 on ads. And like this mini burn, probably pretty value. Something like there. Damage done. Ignore that. After. So here. Yeah. That's pretty value. That's for sure. Focusing more barrages into it as well. You don't have to rush to get to the collector because you're finishing off the ads. That's definitely value. So that's good. I like that. Literally double damage. Great. Let's do that. So we'll switch that up. So I think first burn is the same. It's fine. Second burn is the same. I can touch the magic. I can shifting power before or after. I think it's better to shifting power after. So touch the Magi, casts, touch the Magi, touch the Magi. I'm casting it at 112. I want a shifting power after. I'm going to need to in order to get this one off at 155. Oh shit. Do I have shifting power then? This would be 224. I would shifting power immediately on CD. So shifting power immediately after TOTM explodes at 222. Okay. Want TOTM up for 155. And really, yeah, 155 is fine. You can try to push it 1 second earlier. 154. That has it explode at 206, which would be here, right? That's fine. So you want TOTM up for 154. Shifting power immediately after. TOTM explodes at 222. Want TOTM up for 154 so I can get second mini burn in P1, which requires shifting power at 322. 227. Okay. So I think that is a good plan for P1. So what that's going to look like is this. I think this can stay the same. I'm altering that damage. That's fine. This one should move up 2 seconds to 110. Okay, that one moves up 2 seconds. This happens immediately after that. So it 82 has to. Ooh, that's going to be hard. What am I doing? That's because I'm soaking, huh? Yes. So it's going to be during the soak, but I have to make it work. Just make sure I get to the soak early and then get it off. Okay. These, we're going to pull all of this forward, right? What sequence did he do here? He did the full AoE sequence, which is interesting. I'm not really getting a lot on those ads. I don't think that's necessary. Because like with the 207 ones, you're not getting a ton of soul uptime on anything. Like there's nothing else happening here. You're just dodging. That's one of the benefits of doing this is like you're getting decent soul uptime here. I tuned him too early here. I just went based off my timer. So was my surge late? Possibly because of this. Yes. My surge was late. Okay. So I don't know if the evocate is really worth it here. But I mean, we could do it. What's happening at the time that I would use this? What's his timings? Surges at 320. Whoa. Surges at 142. Evocates at 145. $142. Yeah. So you're actually surging here is when it lands right before this. And then you're evocating now while you're dodging, which is kind of nice. Doesn't really matter though. Evocation's done. And you're just hanging out. And then Touch of the Magi here. Ugh, which is just so bad. Really want to be in mid here. To prepare for this move. I didn't even know I had this ad, which is why this happened this way. Okay, so we can do that. Sure, let's do it. So this is going off at 142. Just there. Okay. You're pressing this at 145. You're pressing this at 154. Seconds in, so you have 3 seconds left. So you could even push this up a little bit. 101, 104, 154. Okay. And then you're going to shifting power on CD. So 2, 22. Oh, there's already one here. Yoink. And then this is going to go off here. 227, preferably. There. So, oh, that's tight, baby. Yeah, let's do it. All right. And that gets me the maximal number of CDs on ads in P1. Sounds good to me. There, that's over 45 seconds. 110, 154 with a shifting power is fine. I mean, I really could like delay the shifting power and just use it there. But no, I can I get it in anyway. It's fine. Okay. And then you're just burning and execute. So how is he doing the execute burn? Double check. Yeah, you're delaying. He's casting his surge at 325, evocate at 328, and then 337. So is he casting his surge on an ad and intermission? This is something that I learned from looking at a different log, I think. So all phases, we're looking at arcane surge timings. Touch of the Magi, shifting power. What else do we have here? So this is his arcane surge. And specifically, I want to pull up their log. Intermission. Cast. He is arcane surging on the collector. Yes. What is the collector's health? Arcane collector 2. So in order to get your good timing of CDs on the boss, you need to surge this ad. I fucking forgot when he cast the surge. 324.6 is when it lands. Oh, so literal, the ad is dying. Okay. Fucking zoom in. I hate when it won't let you zoom in on shit. It always happens on like resources, dude. It never wants to let you zoom in on resources. I don't know why. Okay, so just arcane collectors. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, arcane collectors. 326 is when he casts it. Literally like the last global on this collector, dude. Holy shit. Is he the one who kills it? He's got to be the one who kills it, right? Dematerialize. He gets it off on this guy, right? Oh, 324.6, my bad. 324.6. Yeah, so like this thing dies at 327. Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay. So I need to surge the collector right before it dies in intermission to get soul during boss burn. Okay. I know this. I saw some other people do this. I learned it after, of course, I tried it. But yeah, so that's the good shit. Definitely do that. We can see that in this. Okay. So he does that. Then he evocates. So this one's at 324.6. He evocates when 327.9, 324.6, so 3.3 seconds later. Evocate 3 seconds later. Sounds good. Touch at weak aura 1 second. So this is the part that like pissed me off. Is that this weak aura is wrong. This amp in weak aura was not correct. Unfortunately, but I was treating it as if it was here. So this is where I would want to, first of all, we would have the boss lower going into this, and therefore I would get a lot of this during execute. I think I still get a decent amount of this during execute. But this weak aura that says amp in is not accurate, as you can see. Cast weakened, 0.7 seconds left. I did not know this. I don't know why this is wrong, actually. I want to go check it. But I did not know that this was off. And I was going based off this weak aura timing. And so I missed my Touch the Magi explosion on the boss. It's in text, right? So amp in. What is this triggering based off of? Boss's mana sacrifice and a custom? But like, why? Because it has a boss timer. So you can just make a thing that says like, I mean, it's even in liquid reminders, right? It's right there. Um, we'll make this one green. You want to line these up as close as humanly possible. Phases.
Touch of the Magi. Amp.
3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Mm-hmm.
Touch of the Magi. Amp.
3, 2, 1.
Touch of the Magi.
3, 2, 1.
Touch of the Magi.
3, 2, 1.
I'm trying to just make sure I line this up as closely as I
Touch
can.
of the Magi.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Yeah. This is extremely important that gets this correct. So then I want to go in here, and this amp timer is wrong. So I want to set that to never. And I think that will be good enough. So if you wanted to see, this is, I can put it in super slow-mo. Obviously, this is off by 0.6 seconds. Did not know that going into it, but you'll see that I finish that cast. I start pressing my macro as the boss is doing this, and then Touch the Magi shows up, and it ends up being 0.2 seconds off. So I don't get the explosion during the boss burn, which is terrible. But I have since fixed that, so we should be good to go. Okay, so then the other thing that I need here is that this is kind of all BS. I don't know how I want to do this. When did he actually pot? Potted after the evocate when he got onto boss. Okay. So this goes to like there. This can disappear. This can disappear. I don't know how I want to best like phrase this. I guess we can look at like when they were done with intermission versus when we were done with intermission. Their intermission lasted. What was the fucking collector's health, man? It's so much easier to go off that. Their collectors died at 327. That's the last one. And it started at 243. 327 to 243. Okay, enemies. Intermission. Arcane collectors. Resources. 243, 324. So might be a little bit earlier than that even. Like Arcane Surge 322. I think that's fair-ish. So Arcane Surge is at 322. This one we want it to go off. And then 3 seconds later, you are evocating there. And that should roughly line up to where ads are dying. And then we will get to go into the burn there. With these timings, 227, I'm not using anything in intermission. These will be back up for sure. And this is back up. Yeah, okay. So we should be good. Okay, I think this is a good plan.